I just love him. I love Stuart Dallas so much.
Welcome back to another episode of the Fans Panel. After a superb victory against Spurs last weekend, our focus turns to Burnley this Saturday and the fight to secure the top 10 this season. We're joined by comedian and Leeds fan Rob and YouTuber and Burnley fan Liam, who is also known as Vizza. Guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, no worries, man.
We'll touch on last week's win against Spurs quickly. What a superb performance. We've now gone unbeaten against the so-called top 6 or the Super League 6 at home this year. Just how good was the win last week and just how vital are those 3 points?
Well, I think they've been a vital 3 points for us for about 4 months. We've been fine, but it was brilliant. And the performance felt like a turnaround from the week before. We'd had a bit of a flat week against Brighton. So to come back with the same lineup and perform like that against Spurs, it was unreal, wasn't it? It was one of the peak performances under Bielsa, I think. The way we just ground them down and kept control of it was just absolutely fantastic. I was blown away with it, to be honest.
Definitely. We looked very, very comfortable for the whole game. And Robin Cox slipped into that CDM role where Calvin has been so vital for us this year. And he seems to have taken it to like a duck to water, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, we've tried a few players there now, haven't we? And he was the first one who looked comfortable there. Like, he really looked like, we've been worried about what we do without Calvin. It's been a problem for the whole time under Bielsa if he was out. So having him slot in there and look so steady, control the pace of the game, and his, I was never worried about him defensively, but what was really impressive was his passing. And in particular, in the third goal, there's one particular quick, just sharp pass he plays that doesn't look much, but it's the speed of thought and movement that gets us going. And that's what we've been missing when we've been playing players in there. So, yeah, hopefully that's sorted for us now.
Definitely. He looks so comfortable on the ball, which, like you say, is a massive plus. Liam, a season for Burnley, which had some mixed results. But once again, Sean Dyche has proven why he's one of the best managers in the league with such a little budget and working with the players that he's got. How do you think your season has gone this year? And what do you think of the overall competition that you've faced this year as well?
Other than the Europa League season that we qualified in and we came 7th, I would say this is probably the most impressive season that he's had, purely based on the fact that he's only spent 900 grand in the entirety of this entire year. And we already know how much he can work with such a tight budget, but that's what really has spoken out to me, because it's just, it's incredible. The fact that we had a very shaky start, like I said, Ben Mee was missing in that, but the true character that we've shown this year, and it's in a different way. Usually we're a very strong team at home, but in theory, in factual, our home form has been really our Achilles heel really this season. So away from home, I'm very surprised by the fact that we've actually gone 4 teams. We've actually pressured them even high up the pitch, which usually Burnley, which I'm used to watching, we're kind of just try and see out a 0-0 and maybe get a set piece routine later on in the game. But we've properly gone for teams this year. So it's a completely different year for us. The way that's gone out, at the end, still surviving relatively comfortably, maybe 1 or 2 little hiccups, but all in all, very strong campaign with a squad which I think most people are still kind of expecting us to go down one day eventually. So, still proving us wrong. And that's really Sean Dyche, I'm sure that he probably does get a lot of credit. And I think that he should still continue to get even more so from what he's done this year.
Definitely. He's a superb manager. And like you say, he's proven it over and over again. Rob, I touched on it at the start, but can we make that top 10 at the end of the season? The fixtures that we've got coming up, the next 3 fixtures, are teams that we've beaten earlier on in the season. So it looks likely that should happen once again, or it could be likely. But what do you think? How keen are our chances to finish in that top 10?
Yeah, to be honest, I think we should from the position we're in now. Like, obviously, if we don't, it's not the end of the world. But, I think with the sort of momentum we've got at this stage in the season, the fixtures we've got coming up, I don't see any reason why we can't. And we fully deserve to. And I really want to as well. If we win these 3 games, we're on 59 points. That puts us ahead of Wolves' first season back in the Premier League, which everyone goes on about as being like one of the best promoted teams ever. And it just sort of rubber stamps just how good this side has been and continues to be. So, I think, I'd love us to get them. And, I don't see why we can't. I mean, Burnley, I think maybe there might be a foot off the gas slightly now that, relegation is sorted. I think other sides around us might have that sort of tailing off. Leeds under Bielsa ain't slowing down for a second.
No.
So, I think
not at all. And Yeah, finishing top 10 would definitely answer a lot of critics before the season starts. I've seen on Twitter over the past few days people's predictions that keep popping up and people retweeting them. And
I'd like to point out, I predicted
with a screenshot of
ninth
the
for
league
us
table.
and Sheffield United to be last before the season. So thank you
Well,
very much. Thank
yeah,
you.
definitely.
For God's sake, man.
A
Jesus.
great prediction. It seems to work out pretty well, hasn't it? Liam, Rob's just said there, you're safe from relegation, and you're sitting in 15th, only 2 points behind 13th, and only a point ahead of 16th. Do you think that Dyche will rest a few players and maybe start a few youngsters? Is that something Dyche does a lot, or do you think he'll still want to be pushing for a higher finish as possible?
With how like small our team is, we don't really have many youngsters that could even play that's anywhere near the level. Like Jimmy Dunn, maybe, but like maybe Peacock Farrell may get a game in ahead of Pope, just give him some game time. But like really, we've got such a small team, so I just can't see there being really much change. Similar to Bielsa with what he's done over there at Leeds, that you guys know much about Burnley. We're also a very well organized, well fit side. We can run on for miles upon miles upon miles. So I don't think really like fitness is gonna be an issue. Like we can still play our main team and just see at the end of the year. Typically end of the year, especially at home, we've not got the best of records. So you know what, man? If we were playing you at Ellen Road, I'd actually have more faith of beating the guys. But as it's at home, we've been atrocious this year. We've not beat Fulham. We've not beat Brighton at home. We've not beat West Brom at home. So like the lower sides, we've not beaten at home. I mean, it's been very, very dodgy for us. So, I mean, I'm going into it. I'm happy that we stayed up. And as it is Leeds, it's Lancashire, Yorkshire derby in a sense. There's always something, going on when it's against Leeds. I think that's for every single club in the country, to be fair. Because
everyone thinks they've got a rivalry against us. Yeah,
I mean, maybe not a rivalry, but like everyone knows about Leeds. Everyone knows a mate of theirs, which is a Leeds fan, that you want to get one up on. So,
and we are dead annoying.
Yeah, I know that definitely from Twitter, most definitely. But like, if we want to go back to the game that we played earlier this year, I think that Burnley has actually maybe gained some respect from Leeds fans, because when we played against you guys, I don't think that we played particularly that anti-football. We didn't play that bad, and
you guys only won because
it was a very close game, wasn't it?
Yeah, like you guys won because of a not a dodgy pen, but like one sometimes it's given, sometimes it's not. Looking back on it, you've seen them giving, you've seen them not giving.
It felt like we Burnley'd you. It felt like we played, the roles were a little bit reversed. We actually played a much more physical game against you. And
remember the second half, it was literally just mainly us just trying to attack you and just countered us, and you almost made one counter. I think it was Hernandez that had a shot from range, but it was I think we're getting a lot of respect, because people to see Burnley as people see us against Man United and think that's how they always play, when it's not the case. It's just that how are you supposed to attack Man United when we've got Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes? They're not exactly the type of people that can really take on and take players on. You've got to be a bit more smart of how you play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. Just
say that, but recently
Leeds fans of mine. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You just mentioned about Chris Wood then not being the man to lead from the front, but recently he's hit a bit of form. He's been playing superb. I saw your tweet earlier about Chris Wood-Aldo or something.
Chris Wood-Aldo. Chris Wood-Aldo, bro. Yeah.
So if anyone's going to do it,
I'll call the pun police on that one. That's all over the shop.
Listen, don't blame me, Rob. Blame Liam.
But no, we're all big fans of Chris Wood here, mate. We are. I'm a fantastic footballer. Brilliant,
are you
instinctive
actually a footballer? These fans will be a bit like, you.
No, we were at first couple of seasons he got a lot of grief, Chris Wood, but then his final season for us, he was phenomenal and led our team. He was the shining light in that team by a mile. We were gutted to lose him in the end, and I would love to see him in this side. I think his sort of physical presence at the front is his technical ability. I'm still a massive fan of Chris Wood. Yeah.
He surprised me, because I just kind of always thought that it was just a big lump that just heads the ball well. And that's
he looks like it, but he's actually, his touch, his technique, some of his finishes that he produced for us were outrageous. Just I think
because he has a lot more, a time to express himself at Leeds, because even Championship and Premier League, it's just the way that we play. We don't really give many of our attackers real freedom to really try and run out.
You don't create a lot of chances, do you? It's about putting those chances away when you get them. Yeah.
And you also play a certain way, which probably does, like you say, it doesn't suit the creative player. Like you've mentioned earlier, you do set pieces, or sometimes it's just a 1-0 victory. But going from Chris Wood potentially being one of your best players this year, I'd love to know who both of your player of the seasons are for each respective club. So Rob, who do you think for Leeds? And then Liam, who do you think for Burnley? Rob, we'll start with you. Who do you think's been Leeds' player of the season so far?
So hard for Leeds. Honestly, I think there are 7 or 8 players that if you gave it to, it would be absolutely fair. Like, it's really hard to pick out, especially like the way we play, and it's being such a collective effort. It's incredibly, it feels almost tight to pick people out, but I want to give flowers to Luke Ayling. I think he's been unreal all season, just solid, constantly going forward and back. I love Luke Ayling. I think he's been incredible, but I think really you've got to give it Stuart Dallas for overall. I think the outstanding performer again is Stuart Dallas. He just constantly steps up, and like, he's played 9 positions this season. He's even played centre forward at one point.
It's silly, isn't it?
And he flourishes wherever he is, to the extent that, you know, like when we played him on the wing against Brighton, we were all worried about how much it weakened us in the centre. You know, it's like obviously the City game was the highlight of the entire season. That's the moment where that was just pure personal greatness in that match. Yeah. And I just love him. I love Stuart Dallas so much. And I think he typifies this team in that he's unshowy, hardworking, good guy, and just full of graft. And I shouldn't do down his technique either. He's been unreal.
No. Like you say as well, that it's so hard to pick someone, and I think that's testament to where we probably finish this year. If we do finish in the top 10 or even 11th, you can't pick a player. Obviously, Dallas, like you say, has been the best of an unbelievable bunch. But then you've got Bamford, you've got Rafinha, you've got Calvin,
Phillips.
As always, Philip. Yeah, you've got
Diego Llorente since he's slotted in. Like, you know,
he's come in has been superb. So there's so many honourable mentions. It's a joke, and like you say, it's so difficult to pick one. Liam, what do you think for Burnley?
Well, I mean, it's very similar here as well. Like, Leeds and Burnley are similar and also very unsimilar in many aspects. But in terms of everyone, taking one for the team, everyone chipping in for their part and knowing their position and their job really well, we're very similar. I guess, like, again, it's tough because, again, like 5 or 6, you can understand that. Yeah, they've been class this year. I guess it's going to be it has to be someone in defence, I've got to say, something like defensive end. I love Ben Mee to bits. I just don't think that he's a very fundamental part of our team, but just a pure, just consistent, like, never puts a foot wrong, always is in the right place at the right time. Like, it's just James Tarkowski, man. And look, I can't see him staying after this window. He's got 1 year left in his contract, and I just personally he wants European football. He deserves to play, in the Europa League or even Champions League for me. I think that, like Spurs, they needed someone like him, or even United, like I had a Lindelof, I would think that he will suit him there as well. So he's probably going to leave in the summer. Of course, Nick Pope, huge for us as well. Like, just his sheer presence, like in terms of like, when you have a keeper that you have full faith that he will be there. Like, if let's say
we do know what it's like, yeah.
I know, but like, let's say like last minute of the game, you're 2-1 up, 1-0 up. There's a set piece, there's a corner, there's a ball in the box. You have full faith that keeper, Nick Pope, is gonna get that ball in the air.
Imagine being secure at a set piece, though. Yeah, it's not the same feeling when Leeds concede a set piece in the 90th minute. I can tell you that. Even though our keeper's ace, we're still
we're hiding behind the sofa. I think that's the difference.
I saw a few like comparisons, like when we played against you, like comparing Meslier with Nick Pope, and I'm like, they're just two completely different kind of keepers.
They're opposite ends. Different. Nick Pope's like your perfect, like he feels like a throwback in a good way. I mean, he's like a classic keeper. It's like he's all shot stopping and commanding his box, organising his defence, all those sort of classic virtues of a keeper. And like Meslier is very much like the new generation, plays with his feet constantly, Yeah. So
and I saw like comparisons from like these fans, like there's like this like Leeds to look at. There's like this stats Leeds account which only does stats that only is good for Leeds players, and it's like we're better than Nick Pope because he's got better pass accuracy. I'm like, no one cares. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, it's like comparing Harry Winks for his goals contributions. Like, it doesn't matter for that.
It is true.
Player.
Nick Pope isn't trying to complete passes. He's trying to bang them long and get it off one of your big lad's head, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, like Rob says there, Meslier's definitely. Yeah, Meslier's more of the, to go back onto the keeper situation, sorry. The Meslier is more of the modern goalkeeper, isn't he? Like you say, he's probably similar to Edison, but like you say, Nick Pope, well, I mean, you'd take him, would he start for you at the Euros? You'd take him to Euros, wouldn't you? Definitely. So
depends on how we're playing, though, is the problem. Like, if we're trying to pass out from the back, Pope kind of isn't your guy, is the problem. Like, I've never seen Nick Pope pull a Cruyff turn like Meslier does every 10 minutes. But, that's not a bad thing for how he plays. That's him doing his job properly. But I think England are trying to play a possession game out of the back, so that's probably why Pickford gets. I know,
but I saw some idiots talk about like Dean Henderson, like if he plays for United like end of the year, he should start ahead. I'm like, what do you mean? Like he's played like how many starts in Premier League? Like not even 10 at this stage, not even double digits. Like, come on, man. You need a keeper which is consistent. At least Pickford, I can understand because he's been part of the England squad for a long time. He's experienced. He's got that, World Cup experience, and that I still think it's wrong because I just don't think he's actually a good keeper in comparison to Nick Pope, a commanding keeper. But I can somewhat understand. But yeah, for me, Nick Pope, I mean, he's just the best keeper of any English lads there is right now.
The England debate you could talk about for absolutely hours.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But we'll try and
for England.
We'll try and Bamford. We'll try and stick to Burnley Leeds. So going back to the game this Saturday, can we get a score prediction from the both of you? I think that's all we need to find out now. How do you think the game's going to go and a score prediction? Rob, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Liam.
Well, every time I confidently predict a Leeds win, we lose. But that pattern has to stop at some point. I'm going 3-0 Leeds.
Get in.
I genuinely think we're going to batter you. I'm sorry, mate. I don't think you're bad, but I think we're dead good.
No, that is the best score prediction I've had all year. The conviction on that is superb. Liam, what do you think?
What's the amount of tweets I'm going to get?
I'm going to bookmark on this and just record that on Twitter,
Yeah. I'll see it on Sunday morning. I'm going to get absolutely hounded for that.
Liam, what do you think? What's your prediction?
I can see it being a high-scoring game. Of course, as we're now safe, we can probably now go for it and play with a bit more freedom. That could be a good thing and also a bad thing at the same time. I can't see it being a 0-0 or 1-0 or whatever. It'd probably be like 3-2 or 3-1 or something like that. Honestly, as I said before, if we were playing at your ground at Ellen Road, I would actually be like, we can probably go for it here because we've got such a good away record. But at home, something's just not clicked. Something just hasn't been right this year. So, I mean... Look, can I just say a high-scoring game and have some fun? I'm never gonna
3-0 Leeds is a high score.
I'm never gonna back my team to lose. So I mean, ideally, some fun, 2-2. I guess I go for 2-2. If it was at your game, I'd say 3-2. I think we're class away from home this year, but. I say 2-2. That's what I'll go for because feet does go up. Feet does go up end of the year. So we're just having fun now, I think.
Well, it's a game that Leeds need to win to keep fighting for that top 10. It's also a game that I'm sure Burnley fans would love to win on revenge from the last game and to finish as high as the table as possible. Liam and Rob, thank you very much for coming on, guys. It's been a great chat, and I'm sure we're in for a cracker on Saturday. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you, boys.